Turn up the dive, feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember I share and subscribe. Join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to this week's episode of Monsters on the Edge here on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby Jones. Today's episode is live. We are in studio today. Sorry for the late start here, but we are live coming to you. So if you guys have any questions throughout the show, throw them in the comments section on your chosen platform, and we'll get to them as soon as possible. We are inching forward towards convention season. That's right, guys. We are going to be all over the United States again here coming up this year. Coming up first, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Midwest Meta Paracon, April 11th through the 13th. We are going to be over there. It's going to be a great big 3-day event with some awesome names: Mike Ricksecker, Aaron Sager, Corey and Satori Haas, Debbie and Jason Hawes, Sherry from Ghost Hunters, myself, Adam Berry, Ronnie LeBlanc, Aaron Houdini, all kinds of awesome people. There's ghost hunts included with this. There's a VIP dinner with this, all kinds of cool stuff. Get all the information at MidwestMetaParacon.com. And then, guys, in May 9th through the 11th, we kick off Friday at the Wisconsin Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention. It is going to be a Bigfoot expedition and VIP dinner on Friday. Saturday, we have over 30 vendors, plus all of our great speakers, and the premiere of the Wisconsin Cap's brand new documentary, The Hairy Man of Dairyland, Wisconsin's Bigfoot. Check it out.
Right here in the road, and it was right on the line, standing right there.
Whatever it was breaking trees, breaking branches, and I've never heard that before.
And from the basement door, I was like, Louie, I'm pretty sure there's a footprint out here.
And that's when the rocks started coming out of this tree line.
All I seen was hair.
and it was like arched over right here.
And then out of nowhere we hear this loud, like earth-shaking grunt.
It rolled its shoulder and grabbed the ground and pulled itself towards my vehicle.
And I heard a plunk, and I come over here, and that squash was laying about right there in the middle of my garden, you know.
How do you walk in that in bare feet at 30-degree temperature?
Did you see that?
What was that? I saw something dark in the light from the right to the left.
It was big.
Could be the elusive Bigfoot, maybe?
That and so much more is going to be premiered on Saturday, May 10th. Also, we have everyone that gets the Saturday ticket gets in to see Angela Zabel for her psychic gallery reading. If you guys can't make it out in person, virtual tickets are also available no matter where you are in the entire world. You can live stream all of our great speakers of this event for just $5. Also, you get a link for the documentary, so you can also stream that up to 1 month after the convention airs. So check that out at wisconsincaps.com. Click on the CapCon link for all the details. Then, guys, we head down to Chicago for the Chicago Paranormal Convention on June 7th, and I will be at SilCon in Chicago, Gaze, Illinois, in September. And that's what we got coming up. We also have some library presentations and some other stuff. All that is on the public events tab at wisconsincaps.com. If you want to show your support for all things here on the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
All right, guys, we are live, as I said at the top of the show. So if you guys have any questions or comments throughout today's show, get them in the comments section. We'll get to them as soon as possible. My guest today is joining us from all the way on the other side of the pond. He is Daniel Lee Barnett. He is just 15 years old, and he is already a Bigfoot researcher, a podcaster, an author, director, and conference organizer. Daniel is an autistic teenager with a profound love for cryptozoology. From Bigfoot to the Beast of Exmoor, Daniel's passion drives him to explore the outdoors, interview global experts, and delve into the mysteries of cryptids. Supported by his family and professional researchers, Daniel's journey offers a unique lens into the world of cryptozoology. He currently has a documentary that will be released on most popular platforms in a couple of weeks called My Bigfoot Life, and it's about his journey and encouraging people and families to get out into nature. This documentary is being featured at the Cannes Film Festival this year, as well as the American Film Market and European film markets. Daniel will also be appearing on the upcoming television show Legend Seekers. But right now, he is live in studio with us. So everyone, please welcome Daniel Lee Barnett. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Hey, bud. How's things?
Very well. How are you?
I am very, very well. It's now sun is setting here in the UK, and it's not nice and warm today. Different from normal.
What's the temperature over there?
I think it's about 12 degrees at the moment, which we call warming up.
You are in Celsius though, right?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm one of the Fahrenheit guys. I can't do the conversion, but I know it's still probably warmer than we are here in Wisconsin. So good job, man. It is about 45 degrees here today, Fahrenheit. So
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea how to measure that. No idea.
There you go. There you go. So we're even on that page then. We're all good. Man, I am excited to have you on here. I have heard a lot about you. I've been seeing your name all over the place in all the cryptozoology circles and stuff, and you've made quite a name for yourself all the way over here in the US, and all the stuff that you got going on. I mean, listen to your resume. 15 years old already. You are an author. Check this out. You already have a book available. You can go get that. You have a documentary on the way. You're all over on the podcast scene. Let's start with, we'll backtrack a little bit here. How did you get interested in this? I believe I heard that you had a sighting, right?
Let's get into that later.
Okay.
All right. So basically, a lot of people say they got into Bigfoot by having a sighting or reading a book or seeing a conference or listening to someone. I got involved by sitting on the sofa with my granddad watching TV, basically. So I sat and watched Expedition Bigfoot, and at the time, I really didn't know what I was seeing. Really didn't know what I was watching. I was just interested in some people running around the forest, whether that is, I don't know, a horror film or. And as we kind of went on, we kind of got even more interested, and then my sister came in, my cousin came in, and we're just interested in watching this program. I then started coming home and watching more and delving deep into what Expedition Bigfoot was, and I found out the title and found out what the names where the key players are, and I just kept kind of growing. And then we got to the end of season 3, and we were waiting for season 4. And then I turn around to my nan and cousin at that point and go, "Do you know what? Let's go out in the forest. Let's just go out." Now, at the time, we didn't think that Bigfoot was in the UK. And so we went out looking for deer. So we went out and we looked as deer as our Bigfoot. So we were doing casting deer prints and doing all sorts of stuff and getting the skills to then actually go and look for Bigfoot. So that is how I got into it. I'm told that is a unique way to get into it. But yeah.
No, that's really good because, no matter what you're going out into the woods looking for, it's going to be the same thing, looking for the evidence, looking for, how to track them and all that stuff. So even just going out and looking for deer, I mean, deer are skittish animals. The chance of running up on one of them to begin with is hard enough, without sitting still and stalking one of these things for hours and hoping that it wanders by, and to do the casting and all that. That's a great way to start. I mean, that's really cool. So
yeah, and it kind of just grew from there, and we just kind of we called it Expedition Deer, and we were out for about a year, I think now, and we were just going on different expeditions. It was quite often my nan, Gramps, and my cousin that were just going out, just looking for deer up on the local hills, and kind of it then obviously grew into this.
I mean, you gotta look for food sources too. And if you're looking for Bigfoot, you got to start with the deer. So looking for the deer, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. So how did that looking for Expedition Deer turn into, My Bigfoot Life? Where did what happened in there that now we're getting on the trail of the big guy?
Okay, so it kind of once we finished Expedition Deer, I'd started my podcast by then, so I'd started to talk to some experts about what Bigfoot was, and we kind of then went, do you know what? Let's go and look for a local cryptid. Now, I know just at the beginning, just before we went live, you said that you want to bring up a certain topic. So we went out looking for the local big cat. And we literally went out going, right, let's pick somewhere where it's got a big water source. Let's pick somewhere that's local to us, so Nan doesn't have to drive far. And let's go and find what could be lurking in these forests. So we went out to a local forest, and I've been researching this forest for about unknown 4 weeks. Went out, and obviously we had only done expedition deer, and we're walking through the forest. I think it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's when deer are normally out. We're starting to hear sounds of kind of birds and deer, and like, oh, what's that? So we're then walking up a hill, and we call it a ridge. You guys would not call that a ridge. You call it just what you normally walk on a normal day walk. But we're walking up this hill, and I was about 500 feet away from Nan, and she tapped my shoulder, and I went, yeah, what? And she went, look down. I'm like, what do you mean look down? And mate, I've repeated this story so many times, and every time I repeat it's so true that I was in shock for 3 minutes, and I didn't say a word. And both me and Nan were looking down completely alone, and in front of me was an 18-inch indentation. Absolutely perfect. Like, this is ridiculous. And both me and Nan just look at each other going, you know what that is, right? And we're not even saying to each other, this is a footprint. We're just saying, you know what this is, right? Now, that is where it kind of kicked off at that point. And from what I'd learned from Expedition Deer, and from what I learned from Expedition Bigfoot and my podcast, I collected eDNA, environmental DNA, from that footprint. And I was emailing every lab across the UK and England without mum and dad knowing. And one finally reached back and said, we would love to take this on. Dad was then shopping and got a phone call from a lab in Portugal saying, we'll take your son's samples in exchange for some of his photos for our news kind of. I went, brilliant. Oh my God, we're about to get this. So it was sent off. They went, we manage expectations. The likeliness of something coming back is very, very slim. And we're like, whatever, it's going to be really, really cool. So it's gone away for about 6 weeks. And after those 6 weeks, I have an email, and I'm constantly in contact with these guys. And they went, we need an extra week of sequencing. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then after that week, I'm sat with Nan, and we're actually having a cup of tea. And Dad rings me, going, I've just heard back from the eDNA company. I go, oh my God, wow. And they said, we wanted to ring you before sending you the results to say, this is what we found. And they said, we have no idea what you've done. We have no idea how this has happened. We just test the DNA. And the scientist goes on the phone to Dad and says, your son has just found something quite incredible. And Dad says, on this DNA form, it says human DNA, chicken DNA, bird DNA, all sorts of stuff. But then it had several traits of old world monkey DNA and great ape DNA. And that, from that point, it's then taken off.
Wow, that's
now,
awesome.
That's not a story I tell often now, because obviously there's so much else now. I think that was about almost 2 years ago now. So it says kind of there's a lot that's happened in between then. But every time I repeat that story, mate, it just kind of, it's so weird. So weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So Now, I have heard, I think like on Finding Bigfoot originally, they were talking about going over to the UK and stuff, and they were under the impression that there wasn't too many sightings over there and like too much going on. And I've heard that from a lot of people over there. And very few people have come back and said, there actually is stuff. So I'm kind of curious, like, I don't know exactly, I don't need to know exactly where you are or whatever, but kind of a rough idea, like, are you by London or where in the UK are you that you're actually finding stuff, and how many sightings? Why did you go to that area? Were there sighting reports to begin with, or
So
walk us through that?
I'm in the southwest of England, and I'm based in Somerset. And it's the Quantock Hills where we kind of go, where you guys kind of have parks. Ours is kind of, you have like the Quantock Hills and you have other things. We just put hills after it. And to be completely honest, the reason why we chose that forest is because it was closest to us. So we literally drove up. It's far enough out into the countryside. I think it's about 20 minutes away from us, for where we can drive and head over. But that is literally the reason of it was close to us. And say I just started my podcast, and I'd start to speak to some of the guys in the UK, and it was in fact a UK cryptozoology community that published my book. That kind of, then that's how I got involved with them, and I was then talking to them about, right, what do we do with this? What do we do next, in a way? So yeah, it was just literally just on, let's just go there. We just picked a place.
So since this has all come out, your eDNA and your book and all that stuff, have you gotten, obviously you're getting sighting reports from like the public, right? Like people are reaching out to you, they hear from you and stuff.
Yeah.
So now the location where you've gotten this stuff, are you getting more reports out of that area now?
We're getting quite a few, and say I work very, very closely with Ryan RPG Goldenbesky from Expedition Bigfoot and Finding Bigfoot. And we recently did a shoot over here, and it was really interesting to see how many people came out with sightings. And there was a sighting not far from that place, and I think it was kind of, they saw something run across the road, which is similar to what you guys experienced over there. And so there's odd reports here and there. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to continue on the Bigfoot topic, but since you already brought it up, let's go back here and talk about the Beast of Exmoor, or these black cats, because I feel like these black cats are even more prominent over in the UK, and more so. You're getting a lot of these reports and stuff out there now. And here you guys are like, just, okay, we're going to go out and look for this thing. I honestly, like, cats are probably more dangerous than looking for Bigfoot. So I got to hand it to you that you're like, we got nothing better to do. We're going to go look for these dangerous black cats and hope that we find one of these things. So while you were out there, let's start with that. Have you come across any evidence? Have you come across any sightings or anything of these things?
Well, we came across, there was one point where we came across a possible big cat hair that we looked and tested through a microscope. Can't be totally sure, so we're not publicizing that on a point of, we found a big cat hair. It could be, couldn't be. It's more the amount of sightings that kind of happen. There's so many people that see these big cats and say, God, admit, we did have a plan in case a big cat came in front of us. I'm faster than my grandmother, so it doesn't matter at all. And I pretty much had the car keys most of the time. So, because I would run back and forward to get the plaster of Paris. So I'd just keep the car keys with me. And then if a big cat came in front, I would just run. And then I would leave my grandmother. And say say it's... Through the past year, I've had the pleasure of being to the Bigfoot Mecca of the world, and it's very, very different than the UK. Let me say that. You're out there knowing that you're out there with big cats, mountain lions, bears. Well, they're here in the UK. We know that big cats are out here. We know that, and there's proof to say that people are let them out. That's kind of so. That's kind of undeniable. How they're still here, that's what we're trying to prove. That's what here in the UK we're trying to prove, that they're still here. But you don't think about it here as much. I think the biggest predators, apart from them, that you get here is badgers. And yeah, so but it's very, very different. And say a lot of my team here in the UK haven't been to the US to kind of explore that, but the feeling from being in the US to UK is very, very different. And it's kind of so it was at the back of my mind that what if we turn around this corner and see a big cat? But then I knew that it's rare, that kind of, and the amount of big cat attacks here aren't high at all. So it's kind of, a lot of people see them from driving past fields, and a lot of people see them from afar. So whether they want to stay away from humans and they don't want to kind of come into contact, then possibly. But we have, it's something that doesn't play on the mind as much as it does in America.
No, that's a good point. I mean, you're talking about another elusive creature, the same as Bigfoot. What are the odds if these things were that easy to come across? You obviously would have the proof in that.
Yeah.
That they're out there. You're just not finding them as much. So your odds of running into one of those in the woods are just as good as running into a Bigfoot at this point. So yeah, I guess I listened to Bigfoot and Beyond with Cliff and Bobo and stuff, and he gets a lot of questions about, do you carry weapons or anything out in the woods? And he said, well, if I carry a gun out in the woods to hunt Bigfoot or shoot Bigfoot, it's not going to do any good. And they said, well, what about, or he goes, and I'm not afraid of bears. You just, act big, act tough, and they'll wander off. Mm-hmm. And as far as big cats go, by the time there's a big cat there, you're already dead. So he goes, I don't carry a weapon or anything because it's not going to do me a bit of good. So
yeah, and say, as you bring that up, I will bring it on very, very, very briefly. Very, very recently, we put out our new documentary poster, and the announcement that we put out that James Bobo Fay was actually involved with us, which was a spectacular kind of time to have him on board with us, and say it was just fantastic. So yes, Bobo's a lovely, lovely guy.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you that you got to meet him. He is one of the very few cryptozoologists and stuff that I haven't met. I've met all the other guys from Finding Bigfoot. I've met all the expedition guys through the conventions and all that stuff, and a lot of the the predominant researchers and stuff here in the U.S. I've run across throughout the U.S. and I still haven't met Bobo. So he's not doing events and stuff over here in the U.S. anymore. But
yeah, say he is wonderful, and say to go along with the other names up there, say Ronnie was that was great to hang out with Ronnie, and say Ronnie was one of the ones that came over to the UK, and kind of because we filmed half and half, and say Ryan RPG, Golembeski is just he's one of the most. If I had to put a top Bigfoot researcher for kindness, and Ryan would be the top one. Absolutely, he is just wonderful. And say to go along with that team here in the UK and to be with some of these guys in the US was just fantastic. And the journeys that we've had filming this was just amazing. Say it should be out later this year.
I was going to ask you. I know you said you couldn't talk much about it, and that's cool and stuff. But I was wondering if you did know when it was going to be out for sure.
No. Say at the moment we're just saying later this year. And say that there's been some other things released on different podcasts. But this is the last thing I'll say, and I'll kind of leave it on a cliffhanger. We all went believing, or some went not believing at all, and we all came back knowing.
Interesting.
And I'll leave it. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's a pretty big drop right there. Yeah. You also, I saw on Amazon, you also have another documentary out as well. It looks like it might go along with your book. Is that right?
So we have Legend Seekers that will be coming out. And say it's Legend Seekers is part of a new production company that myself, Ryan RPG, Golan Besky, and a good friend, also a big adventurer, used to be an ex Queen's Guard, which is pretty cool. And so we own a production company, and we soon should be releasing a new series called Legend Seekers that will take place kind of here in the UK, and then some other different locations in the US as well. So kind of we're going international with it, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah. I do have one criticism for you, sir. When I asked you if you had any links or anything you wanted in the show notes, you told me no. And you have a book out, sir. You need to promote your book.
I know. Fine. You were right. Yes. So this book can be found on Amazon, or if you happen to be at one of the conferences I'm at this year. I think I've got 3 lined up in the US this year. So I think I'll be taking a trip to Pennsylvania this year to come and be there. So if anyone in the US wants my book, I will be there. And then obviously here in the UK, I'm doing quite a few here in the UK with the book as well. So
very cool. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I do have the link for you in the show notes of your book for anyone that's interested in picking that up. They can go check that out if you're not going to be at any conferences or anything and get it in person, but you can get it on Amazon. There you go. So we do have some questions here. We're going to take a quick tour over there and see how this goes. Let's start. I think we answered this one, right? Where in the UK are you? Oh, we got that one. Okay. So we'll skip that one. So let's go to this one. What do you believe that Bigfoot are?
Interesting. So ever since I got into the world of Bigfoot, I have always asked myself that question. And the first few podcasts I was ever on, they asked me, what do you think you will do when you come face to face with a Bigfoot? And I never thought I never thought I would be able to answer that question. And then the second question that they would always ask me is, what do you believe Bigfoots are? Now, I'm totally honest out there. I don't believe in the paranormal. I'm not in jumping in portals and jumping out and jumping halfway across the world. I'm not in the time traveling element. The cloaking element, I put my own spin on it to go, okay, let's say Bigfoot can cloak. We have an animal alive today, or several animals alive today that can camouflage. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be out of the realm to say that Bigfoot is doing the same thing. Now, that then puts me in the flesh and blood camp quite strongly. Now, if someone shows me a portal, I will believe it like that, and I will be into the paranormal. So I'm open to it all. I just, on my own encounters and kind of researching it, I believe that they are flesh and blood currently, and they're a primate. But that doesn't mean to say that they're not paranormal. I'm just saying at the moment that's what I believe, and if then it comes out proof that it's paranormal, then of course then we can kind of change rails completely.
Perfect. Let me ask you this: do you believe in the paranormal? Have you had any paranormal ghost experiences or anything?
Well, I can definitely say. Okay, so when Ronnie LeBlanc came over to the UK, and my dad went to pick him up from the airport, and they were traveling back past Stonehenge. Now, this video has also been released online, and Ronnie said to Dad, quite funny, mini joke way, wouldn't it be funny if we saw a UFO now? And it was as the sun was setting. And a few seconds later, Dad looked over to the corner and saw this bright kind of light that was shaped in a teardrop in the sky. Now, a lot of swear words came out at that point. And Ronnie went, "Told you so." And at that point, Dad has now vowed never to get in a car with Ronnie ever again. But at that point, I go, do you know what? That is pretty weird. Now, I've also had some other stuff that is pretty weird that will come out in the documentary, and I'll talk about once it's out, that is not normal day things that you see. But yes, I say that is the only thing that I've ever kind of, I wasn't there, but I believe that definitely happened. And that there's even footage there of this weird thing, and it just goes like that. And I'm like, oh, that's just weird. That's weird. And I don't like things that I can't put a finger on and that I can't explain. So that's why I'm like, absolutely not. And say that's where kind of the autism comes in a bit, because if I can't put a finger on something, I'm like, absolutely not. No. But I am open to the point of, okay, if there are ghosts in the world, I will then go, do you know what? Let's look into it, and kind of and research it. So yeah, I'm open to it all. And encounters wise, I've had a couple weird things, let's say.
Very cool. Are you familiar with Ronnie LeBlanc's apportation of like objects and stuff like that? Like the marbles and different things that he believes that these things kind of manifest?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so I had him on my show a while ago, and the day that I scheduled him on my show, I walked down my stairs, and in the middle of my floor was a marble, and I actually stepped on it. And that's my Ronnie LeBlanc apportation story.
Okay, there's one thing I'm going to say. I now can't sleep tonight, so if Mum gives you a ring later, that'll be your fault. All right.
Blame Ronnie. Blame Ronnie. You know, that's his fault. He makes these things manifest. I blame him for it. So yeah. But yeah, it was the weirdest thing. The day that I scheduled him on the show, walked down the stairs, stepped on a marble in the middle of my floor. No idea where that marble came from. I don't have marbles in my house. Now I do.
Yeah. Oh god, that's weird. That is weird.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Alex would like to know, have you or anyone you know ever stumbled across strange carcasses of livestock? There's a farm down near me just outside of Kent that had some bizarre mutilations some time ago.
Well, that's an interesting story, let's say. In between us taking the DNA of the footprint and getting the results back, we were obviously looking around this forest like that the forest was going to be cut down. Now we walked into a kind of half the forest was kind of open and light, and then you had a bit that was then your pine, and it was darker inside. So we walk in, Now we're walking kind of through the trees. There's kind of dark, silent in there, and we look to the left, and there are 40 to 50 bones in one concentrated area. I've never seen anything like that. And the size of these bones were just, I'm like, have you got like 100 deer here that have just died? And these bones weren't new, but they weren't really, really old. Now, what the funny thing was is when we had the team over in last April, to do some filming for the doc, I showed these guys this pit, and they were like, I've never seen anything like that. Never seen anything like it. And that's just weird. That's just weird. I can't explain what, how, who. It's just weird. Now, there's also another case that I dealt with a couple of years ago of sheep killings. And there's been multiple around the UK that we've experienced, and that's weird. That of just sheep being taken, just taken again, and say Chris, who I mentioned earlier, he phoned me the other week to say that he had a phone call from a previous researcher we've worked with, saying that one of his friends sheep was just disappearing every month. So whether that's work of Bigfoot or the more known Big Cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was wondering when you were saying that if, like if there's a big tree or something right above that pile of bones, because some cats take the kills up in trees. I don't know about like cougars and stuff like that or that, but I know like jaguars and stuff do. So I don't know.
Yeah. Weird. It is weird.
So that leads us to our next question here. What do you think about the dog man?
Okay, so I've over the years I've kind of had questions about every known cryptid. Now obviously there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, but Dogman I've never actually had an opinion on because I haven't done an awful lot of research into it. But what I can say is that I work with a very, very talented paranormal investigator, and she has had quite brilliant experiences, let's say, and her team has as well, of this dogman. So I believe what she's saying. So do I think they're real? I don't know. But it doesn't say that they're not.
Mm-hmm. You haven't come across any sightings or anything in your.
There's been there's another quite famous investigator in the UK called Deborah Hatswell who does a lot on that as well, and I know that she's had a lot of interviewees and witnesses come to her to talk about what dogman sightings that they have had, and some of them have been quite interesting.
All right, moving along here. Do you believe there's enough forests environments in the UK to sustain a population of Sasquatch? Some researchers doubt its existence in the UK because of that.
So I back when I was doing Expedition Deer, did not believe in it at all. Now, when that eDNA came through, I have not once said that is Bigfoot DNA. Not once. Unless I saw Bigfoot make that footprint, I am not going to say. Now, sometimes it's come really, really hard to say that it's not. But that was one stepping stone for me. Second, when Ryan RPG Golombesky, Rene Holland, and Ronnie LeBlanc came over to the UK, Ryan first said to me, this can absolutely be a home to Bigfoot. Absolutely. Now, it is quite surprising how much land we do have here. Now, nothing, and I mean nothing, compared to what you guys have in the US. Absolutely, there's no comparison. But when you guys think of us as a small island as we are, the land that we do have is quite substantial, and there are a lot of caves around the UK as well that they can hide. So I can't say for definite whether I believe that it's enough for them, but I do think if we can hide a big cat, we can hide a Bigfoot. That's always been my opinion. If we found proof of a big cat, the chances of Bigfoot coming higher in the UK is a lot better, because big cats, if they can hide, who's to say that Bigfoot can't hide where they hide? Just an opinion of what other researchers have said as well.
Going back on that a little bit, you had said earlier that you guys had proof that the big cats had been released over there. So, like, is that like going back to like the monarchs and stuff, like the what do you call it, the menageries and stuff that they used to have?
So there's kind of there's proof that they used to be kept as pets, and big cats were people's pets. Now, then the belief is that they then released them when they just couldn't house them anymore. So it's proof that big cats did used to live with people, but then when people decided, oh no, I don't want them anymore, they've just released them, open the gate, and just go, there they go. And so what a lot of researchers believe is that they've started a population in the UK of kind of big cats, and they've just grown from there. So that's where the opinion of that comes from. But there is proof out there that people did used to keep them. A lot of people say that they also escaped from zoos as well. Don't know that for proof, or at least I don't. But I know that people did keep them back in the day.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of, like circuses and carnival sideshows and, the menageries and stuff that were, big popular back in the day over there and stuff. So do you don't have any natural large cats over there that you would consider like melanistic? So your main ones would be your black jaguars, which we know exist, and then your cougars, panthers, or pumas, the North American variety. So you would have had one of those species imported, or what are your thoughts on what the species is of these cats?
So there's a lot of people that say that they have sighted a lot. Now, when it seemed there was one close to where I was, where there was two big cats wandering through a field, and it was actually my next door neighbor used to work or work in the same building where they had CCTV, and on that CCTV they saw big cats on there. Now, a lot of people seem to think that these big cats are smaller, so they're not giant. So I think you could then look at your lynx. You could then look at the stuff like that, and you can look at the sizes that people are seeing. Now, some people say that they saw a panther wandering through the woods. Now, in the UK, you got to balance your true witnesses and people that you can't vary which is kind of right. So it's kind of I don't know how to answer that question, because I haven't seen one, but judged off of other researchers, I can definitely say that they're smaller than big cats would be.
So you're talking about lynxes and stuff like that. They don't have tails. Are these creatures? Well, they do have tails, but you know what I mean. They're the little nub tails. So are they seeing the long tail like a jaguar or puma, or is it the small?
Some are, and then some are seeing things like that. So they're it's kind of, a lot of people see different things, and because it's from afar, it's quite often like someone on a bus or someone driving past or on our motorways, or it's quite often from afar. So a lot of people go, I'm not 100% sure of what I saw, but I can judge this.
Very cool. Tales from the Woods European Wildmen Research says 100% they were released because in the 1980s they passed a law that they either had to have a license to keep exotic dangerous animals plus adequate housing, otherwise they would be destroyed. So
yeah.
There you go. All right, we have a lot of questions here, so we're going to dive back into this. What are the oldest reports of Bigfoot or Bigfoot-like creatures that you've come across in the UK?
So there's the history of the Green Man and Wild Man, especially down where we are. I live near Glastonbury, so where a lot of you probably have heard of Glastonbury Festival. I'm not too far from there, but there's some actually Green Man shops in Glastonbury. And so there's the history of that, and then there's carvings in churches of different Green Man and Wild Man that are actually in our history. So that is as old as I could possibly go on that. There is definitely history, and that was even in Finding Bigfoot when they came over. They went into churches and that, and saw these kind of wild man carvings and that on different kind of walls of churches and cathedrals, things like that.
Now, the Green Man stuff is absolutely fascinating through folklore and Fey mythology and stuff like that as well. And I love that stuff. So I'm not very PC, so forgive me if this is out there. But when you go back in England and stuff like that, you have the monarchs and all that stuff, and you know the Romans and the fighting and all that stuff. Do you have like over here in the US, we have the Native Americans that were here, the Indian tribes and stuff. Do you have that lore? Do you know that lore going back in England and stuff, like the native people where everything started over there? Do they have any stories that you know of?
I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to answer that question.
That's
That is an interesting question. I know that people in Glastonbury as well have done some research into that, but I wouldn't have a clue. But as you bring up the Native Americans, I am really fascinated into you guys over there. But yeah, that is really really interesting question, because I have no idea.
Yeah, when we over here in the United States, like I was in school before they stopped teaching important things, and and even my history of like Europe and all that stuff, we only go back to like the Middle Ages. You know, everyone was living in stone buildings and stuff. Like when we pick it up, like I don't even know, like I can't help you out as far as like I don't know what was before that. You had to have had, you know, more tribal people before they started using stone buildings and that stuff, but I don't know what was in Europe and where that stuff came from. All of the history that I know started out Middle Ages, Stone Ages, Bronze Age, you know, and moving forward in time. So I don't know. I totally okay to understand that you don't know either, because I don't know. All right, moving along here. Do you have an opinion on stick structures and wood knocks?
So stick structures is really hard, because when you're in a forest, what is all around you? You've got wood everywhere. So trees can fall in wind, and you can kind of
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. We are coming up here on the end of the hour. We have a bunch of questions left. I want to just check in with you. You got a couple more minutes to spend with us?
I've got about 5 minutes, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are not.
I have to come off this one, and then I'm jumping on a show with RPG. So
I was gonna say, I knew you had that one tonight, and I don't know where your time goes, so I wasn't sure. So, yeah, we're not gonna take any more questions here. We're gonna try and run through the last ones here as quick as we can. On the wood knock thing, though, quick, do you think that they're actually a wood knock or a mouth click, like some people believe?
See, that's interesting, because I've spoken to a couple of scientists about that, because obviously it's proven that chimps and primates actually make that sound. So, and I'm like, if we can relate that to like what's alive today, it becomes more realistic, and it becomes that actually animals do that alive today, which means it's possible for Bigfoot to do that. So yes, I think that is very possible. Very possible.
I had a bonobo researcher on my show a while ago, and she talked about how the bonobos would beat on the roots of trees and stuff and make those sounds as well. So definitely interesting there. All right, we have three questions left for you here. Other than print and eDNA samples, is there any other evidence, i.e. audio or prints, that you have found in the UK? And then this one kind of goes along with it, so we'll wrap that in. Have you captured any vocalizations, or have you had anyone share them with you over in the UK?
So you have the Bigfoot actual witnesses, and you have your Bigfoot enthusiasts. And I've had a lot of really, really amazing people that are really interested in the world of Bigfoot. And they want to capture audio, and they want to capture things like photos and audio. And so I can say, yes, I know that some researchers who have captured that, but again, you can't decipher if it's real or not. If we're talking about me personally, no, I haven't got any vocalizations or audio in the UK.
Gotcha. Perfect. We see where that's going. All right. Maybe not everyone sees where that's going. I see where that goes.
Yeah.
All right, man. 2 questions left here. Wrapping things up with Lee Warner, one of my favorite people here. Are there any giant bones in the British museums?
So I know that the Natural History Museum here in the UK have got some pretty interesting stuff. And also, I believe in the British Isles, there was actually said in history that they had a bone of Bigfoot. That's in history. That I heard from a fellow paranormal researcher that there was actually something. Whether that is true, I don't know. But that's what they said, that they visited the actual museum. Apparently it's closed down now, but they had some evidence. Now I haven't done any more research into that, but if we're talking Bigfoot, there has been some odd history, let's say, against that kind of bones where people said that there's been some odd bones found in museums and in museum artifacts.
Interesting. 2 comments on that as far as that goes. In the United States here, we have had several giants that have been dug up in the Midwest, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and stuff. And they were all newspaper articles all about it and everything, documenting this. And they all went to the Smithsonian, and Smithsonian says, we never got them. Oh, they're gone. We don't have them. So I think that's where Lee's coming from with that. And the other thing I was going to say is, a lot of these museums have stuff that they don't even know that they have. It's misclassified, misidentified, because it's been sitting in the archives for so many years that you just don't know what you have anymore.
Yeah.
But awesome, man. It seems like our audience could go on forever with your questions here, but I do want to let you go because I know that you had that other interview coming up.
Yeah.
So on one final note here from our viewers, this goes back to your coming to the United States for your conventions and stuff. Are you going to be in Washington this year, sir?
No, I don't think so. I think I may be at an upcoming conference in April. I'm not going to say anything else because I can't quite confirm that I'm actually going to be there. I will definitely be in Pennsylvania, a conference run by Gwendolyn Purcell, and I'll be with Ronnie LeBlanc, Brian King Shot, Amy Boo, Terry Windell, RPG, and myself, and we will be doing a screening of the documentary at the conference, and then we will have a song be played from the documentary live after. So that would be a brilliant weekend. And
that's the Pennsylvania one?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm doing quite a few here in the UK because I've noticed that there's some people in the chat from here in the UK.
Yep.
I will be up in Peterborough for the Feel the Force Day, and then I'll be down in Kent for another film Comic Con on the 18th of May, and then I have my conference that I'm running on May 30th, 31st, and 1st of June. That sends a shiver down my spine every time I say three-day conference. And we have all sorts of researchers from the US and UK coming over. And then, so I'm kind of all over the place this year.
Very cool. Do you have anything where people can keep up on that? Where do people find you and get more information?
So if you wanted to learn more about my podcast, me personally, you can visit my website, mythicallegends.co.uk. Don't you dare bring up that link.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Don't say it. And then you can also go onto Facebook and find my Mythical Legends group, which is called Mythical Legends, My Bigfoot Life. That will also have the upcoming documentary info. And then we also have then the conference pages, which is under Cryptid Conference UK, or we have our VIP group. If you become one of our VIPs, and say then I'm also on Instagram under Mythical Legends as well. If you wanted to reach out to me, you can reach out to my email, mythicallegends29@gmail.com. And then I'm also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and that. Don't with all the podcast links and things like that.
Awesome. Good job, sir. And at this moment of being live, the only thing we got in the show notes is the Amazon book list. But as soon as Daniel signs off with me, he's going to send me the link to his Mythical Legends website, and I will get that in the show notes.
We will pretend that you actually have it already.
That's right. Yeah. I just got it here. It's been my mistake. It is.
My phone's here. Don't worry. The only thing that I'll say is thank you so much for having me on, mate.
Absolutely. It's been a blast, man. You are everything that people say about you and more. And it's good to have you over there. And I look forward to having you back on, because I think there's plenty more that we can cover, because I'd love to dive into actually your research and stuff, and some of the stuff that you found over there, and your sightings and all that stuff. So once your documentary comes out, I will have you back on, and you can promote it, and we'll talk all about that and everything then. So until then, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing time with us. And it seems like everyone thoroughly enjoyed the show. Excellent show. Thank you. Fun show. All kinds of stuff over here. So everyone really enjoyed having you on as well. So
you are more than welcome, mate. Amazing.
Absolutely. And for people that are listening, is RPG live today?
So it'll be myself, Chris, and Ryan that are live on South Coast Ghosts. And that is very, very shortly. That'll be on my Facebook page, Ryan's Facebook page, and we will be talking about the paranormal.
Awesome. So head over to Daniel Lee Barnett's Facebook page, or RPG's Facebook page, and hopefully you can find the links for that, and that should be airing almost immediately after we sign off here. So I will let you go. Take care. Thank you so much. I will see you later.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
Yep. All right, guys, that is our show for this week. He has already gone, signed out, and logged out of the show. Head on over to RPG's page and check that out. He will be live over there if you want even more from Daniel Lee Barnett. And that is all for our show this week. So make sure you head on over that, like that. We will get the links in the show notes as soon as he sends me those. And until next time, guys, I'll see you on the edge.